To become an apex predator, you first have to be a predator. Of course, the name suggests that, and since being an apex predator means you're the king of your own territory, some predators have an easy life. But if life is so good for apex predators, why are predators usually smaller than their prey? The answer lies in the fact that herbivores get their energy directly from energy producers, while carnivores have to get their share from herbivores. This means that predators usually only get about 10% of the energy they get from producers, which results in predators being smaller than their prey. This size difference has led evolution to give predators fearsome tools and features to balance the situation. These features include things like powerful biting teeth, sharp claws, and group hunting. This strategy has clearly worked, as many predators are able to hunt prey larger than themselves, but sometimes a carnivore will come along, which takes the skill of hunting large prey to another level and develops weapons that were made just for hunting giants. A few thousand years ago, a carnivore roamed the earth that had perfected this art. This predator was the king of the Ice Age. Smilodon, known for its fearsome appearance and enormous canine teeth, is one of those extinct animals that this group only includes 5 different genera, which makes it a relatively small group. However, over the years, this group has only been strengthened by the discovery of new species of the larger Smilodon, which almost everyone knows or at least recognizes by its appearance. Recognition has been strengthened by its appearance in famous films such as Ice Age. But although the whole world knows that this is a carnivore, it didn't start out that way. When Smilodon was first discovered in Brazil more than 160 years ago, scientists thought it was a very large predator. This is a wrong judgment based on its cheek teeth. It was very similar to the teeth of living carnivores. Soon, this new animal was named the South American carnivore. But fortunately, it soon became clear that there were many more fossils than just teeth. Within a few years, dozens of new body parts were identified, including leg bones, parts of the skull, and giant canine teeth that seemed too large for the creature's mouth. With these additional bones, it became clear that this creature was never a carnivore, but a distinct genus of carnivores. Without a doubt, with the help of the teeth, it was renamed Smilodon populator, where Smilodon means knife-toothed because of its giant teeth, and populator apparently means destroyer or one who has a strong nose, which is why this hunter was chosen. In addition to the change in classification, further research into what kind of carnivore Smilodon was is ongoing to this day. Scientists are currently studying the species below. The extinct family of Macrodonians, which includes most of what people often call saber-toothed wolves, is more appropriately called saber-toothed cats, since this group was not closely related to tigers or any other living relatives, and their closest relatives may have been members of the cat family. Within the Macrodonians, Smilodon is classified as a member of the Smilodonidae, which itself has its own name. The saber-toothed cats have been known to exist for a long time, and not by the discovery of a new genus. Eventually, older remains were found in North America, which were assigned to 2 different species, and as a result, there are 3 accepted types of Smilodon today, Haploder fatalis and gracilis. If one of them was chasing you, you probably wouldn't care which one, and you probably couldn't tell them apart, but they had some differences, one of the biggest being the time they lived on Earth. The Bodalis was the oldest of them, and it evolved in North America about 1 million years ago from the older Megatrion. The second, the Fatalis, came about 1 million years later, and finally the populator appeared about 60,000 years after the Fatalis. Another difference was their size, as each new generation was larger than the previous one, so the gracilis was the smallest, while the populator was the largest and most gigantic of the 3 species. But make no mistake, all 3 of these species were very large by feline standards, and some specimens made Smilodon one of the largest felines known to date. Currently, scientists believe that the gracilis was probably the same weight as the jaguar, the 3rd largest cat in the world today. Meanwhile, the Fatalis was slightly larger, with dimensions similar to an African lion, but due to its muscular build, it was much heavier on average, weighing about 100 kilograms. It was something on par with the big tigers, the largest living cat today. Things get even more exciting when we get to papulator. Papillator was truly gigantic, and the largest bones found from it, for example, an incredibly large skull, indicate that its body size could have reached 150 kilograms. This is about the size of a medium-sized polar bear, which is now the largest land carnivore on Earth. One interesting thing about Smilodon and Dundon is that most research shows that there was not much difference in size between males and females, meaning that males and females were usually about the same size. With this size, everyone agrees that Smilodon was a top dog wherever it lived. But Smilodon was not only big in size. As we said, it was also quite muscular and stocky. The first thing that shows that this prehistoric cat did not go after small prey was its thick and strong bones, which were covered with a lot of muscle during its life, especially its heel bones, which were very strong and long, indicating that Smilodon was an expert at jumping, and it probably jumped onto a plant larger than itself with a vertical leap. No one knows exactly how far it could jump, but it is estimated that it jumped even further than modern lions, which can sometimes jump up to half a meter. Another place where Smilodon was really powerful was in its front arms. Well, all big cats have strong and powerful front arms. They are used to grab and knock down prey, but Smilodon was above all others. Its front paws were about 20% thicker than what is expected from a cat of its size. This feature made its hands incredibly strong, even stronger than those of big cats like the American lion. With these muscular front paws, Smilodon could easily hold a giant mouse. In addition, its claws were completely retractable, but unlike the claws of a lion or tiger, its claws were very sharp and curved, but in terms of size, they were really large, like many other parts of its body. Research has shown that these claws were twice the size of a Siberian tiger's claws and even longer than the claws of a brown bear, which sometimes weighs twice as much as an adult male. These claws could easily tear flesh, but their size was more for holding large animals than for causing damage, because its main weapon was its famous canine teeth. The extraordinary teeth did not belong only to Smilodon, and they are also seen in other animals, but what made Smilodon so famous was the length of its teeth. Just like its claws, its canines were unusually large, so much so that they protruded from its mouth. This feature is not often seen in other saber-toothed cats like Ham and Therium. Its canines could grow up to 20 centimeters, making them the largest canine teeth of any known annual cat. But these teeth were not just for show. Due to their great length, they were completely designed for penetration. Designed to penetrate deep into the flesh, their sharp tips and narrow sides allowed for a lot of force to be concentrated on the tip of the tooth, causing deep, deadly wounds. Interestingly, the design of these fangs was so efficient that Smilodon did not need to bite very hard. Research has shown that its bite was only 1,000 newtons, which is weaker than the bite of a lion. This ability to bite was also evident in its teeth themselves, because they were thin and fragile. This means that a good piercing weapon does not necessarily require a lot of force to do its job. However, this has led paleontologists to wonder how Smilodon worked, because these teeth were not suitable for biting anywhere on the body. One hypothesis is that Smilodon lurked in the bush, attacked or jumped on its prey, and then held it with its claws and sank its teeth into the soft stomach of the prey, causing severe bleeding. Of course, most experts disagree with this hypothesis and think that Smilodon used quick gasps or deep blows to rip open the throat of its prey, causing severe bleeding and suffocation. Other research has shown that Smilodon's jaws could open up to 120 degrees, almost twice as wide as a human's, meaning it could tear through almost any neck. These teeth, along with its claws, made Smilodon a fearsome predator. But it wasn't just physical strength that made Smilodon successful. Brain scans have shown it to be highly coordinated, intelligent, and had excellent eyesight. This is also confirmed by the shape of its eye sockets, which indicate that it had binocular vision. Another interesting fact about Smilodon is that it was probably very fast, as a significant percentage of its fossils show that its clavicles were damaged, usually the result of violent, high-speed collisions with prey. These features, along with its natural weapons, enabled Smilodon to hunt a wide range of giant animals. Depending on where it lived, its prey varied. For example, in North America, it usually hunted ancient cattle, now extinct, camels, glyptodonts, which were armored mammals, and sometimes even mastodons and Columbian mammoths, which were the largest animals of their time. But in South America, prey included toxodons, lithopteраnes, various grippletons, horse-drawn carts, and even caimans, which were a type of tame animal. Now you know, some of these animals were definitely Smilodon's prey. It is still not clear exactly what the main prey was. Whether Smilodon was a social animal or not also affects this question. If it hunted in groups, it would probably have gone for larger animals. One of the most important pieces of evidence for the social life of Devonian Smilodon was found in the Labria tar pits in California. These pits are known as hunter traps. Whenever an animal got stuck in them, a whole group of hunters would follow it, and they would get stuck too. The result was that 90% of the labial bones belonged to predators. Smilodon was no exception, and in fact, it is the second most common fossil found in these pits. With more than 10 fossils attributed to it, this large number has convinced many that Smilodon lived in groups, in a world where modern cats are more social, alert to the sound of prey in trouble. The large number of Loudon fossils suggests that they were also sensitive to these sounds, suggesting that they probably hunted in groups. A more interesting theory, called the healthcare hypothesis, is that paleontologists have noted that several Smilodons with severe injuries or deformities that should not have allowed them to survive survived, and it is possible that they could have been cared for. A famous example of this is Smilodon, which showed signs of pelvic ostracism in its youth but still survived to adulthood. Of course, some also believe that Smilodon was mostly solitary, since the skeletons found outside the Labria pits were mostly solitary. In any case, Loudon was undoubtedly one of the dominant predators of its time, but it was not the only carnivore, as it lived alongside other iconic predators. Its main competitors were the American lion and the dire wolf. Isotope analyses have shown that the diet of these predators was very similar to the Smilodon, and that's why it was its main competitor. Although the wolves were superior in numbers and the American lion in terms of speed, the Smilodon seemed to have no problem with them. Perhaps it was because of its fangs that were out 24 hours a day and scared any animal. As for the American lion, the Smilodon and the lions probably tried to avoid each other, but given their diet, sometimes conflicts were inevitable. In these conflicts, it was not clear who would win. However, the competition with the wolves ended in favor of the Smilodon and the dons, because evidence from Goodell labia shows that the wolves often gave up their prey to the Smilodon, and the Smilodon ate those prey whole, even the bones. In addition to cats and dogs, large bears were also around, especially short-faced bears, some of which were heavier than the largest Smilodons and even reached the size of dinosaurs such as Seti, Saurus, and Eleusis. But these giant bears mostly ate carrion, which probably reduced their conflict with Smilodon. In addition, bears usually lived alone, so if a Smilodon was not alone, the bear probably wouldn't have bothered with it and would have left the carcass for the cats and gone. Now that we're talking about carrion, here's a good question: how did Smilodon eat? Because of its canine teeth, it couldn't eat from the front like most animals. Instead, it had sharp canine teeth that came together in a quick motion and sliced meat like a knife. These teeth were on both sides of its mouth, which allowed it to chew from the side when it tilted its head without its canine teeth getting in the way. Interestingly, this method is still used by modern cats and other predators. Ultimately, these strange teeth made Smilodon a special and successful creature. Although it was the youngest species of saber-toothed cats, it was able to spread throughout the Western Hemisphere and dominate in North America. The Smilodon gracilis and fatalis species were found almost everywhere, from the northernmost point, the Albertas of Canada, to the east and west coasts. In South America, where fatalis and populato lived, they were equally widespread, and their territory extended as far south as Patagonia. Not only was Smilodon skilled at dispersal, but it was also very good at adapting to a variety of habitats. Fossils show that this big cat lived in grasslands, plains, open and closed forests, savannas, subtropical forests, and even the mammoth habitat. With such a wide distribution, it is not surprising that this apex predator lived alongside a host of icons of the Miocene and Holstein periods, including short-faced bears, elephants, ground sloths, gladiators, tusks and duns, camels, deer, horses, ancient buffaloes, fearsome birds, large hall cats, various dogs, saws, marsupials, caimans, and many others. This cat even lived alongside a creature very familiar to us, namely us humans. There is a perception that we may have encountered Smilodons since the early 1900s, because the judicial system of our time had a series of similar things. The relationship between humans and Smilodon was probably very tense. Unfortunately for us, the timing of our arrival was not at all convenient, because when we arrived, only two species remained, Phytales and Populator, the largest of which made this coexistence more difficult, and since Megatrion sometimes killed the marcacti, it has been suggested that perhaps some unlucky humans also occasionally fell prey to Smilodon. Of course, thanks to our much superior technology, we could certainly handle a few of the Smilodons. We don't have direct evidence of these conflicts at the moment, but in 2021, a rock painting was discovered that apparently showed a group of humans watching a Smilodon from a distance, which greatly increases the possibility of human-Smilodon interactions. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, our coexistence with Smilodon didn't last long. Somewhere between then and now, Smilodons date back to about 10,000 years ago, when the most recent fossils of Phytales and Populator were discovered, roughly the same time that agriculture began in some parts of the world. The extinction of the saber-toothed cats is a subject of much debate and mystery. Some believe that humans played a role in this extinction, through overhunting, competition, and burning forests, which destroyed their habitat. While most scientists agree that the presence of humans was not good for the Smilodon population, the only difference of opinion is how much we contributed to their extinction. The more common theory is that the extinction of the giant pack was the main culprit in the Quaternary extinction event, which killed off many of the large animals of North America, southern Slovenia, and this was a kind of curse for its position, because it had evolved so that the giant killer would not have remained a giant for a long time. Smilodon also could not adapt to the new conditions and became extinct. The end of Smilodon. It was the end not only of saber-toothed cats in the Western Hemisphere, but all over the world. This cat was the last member of a family that had ruled the world for over 20 million years. I hope you enjoyed this video.